Hi guys, and welcome back to the Blues Focus podcast. Before we get into today's podcast, I'd just like to give a big shout out to our current patrons. And if you'd like to join these names in the brand new Blues Focus Hall of Fame, you can join our Patreon page for just £1 a month. So I think that's a bargain if you ask me. But you know, perks included will be monthly giveaways and early access to guest pods. The link will be in the description anyway for our Patreon packages, and you can see what takes your fancy there. But that's enough from me. Let's get straight into today's Blues Focus podcast. Thank you for joining us as always.
Hello and welcome to the Blues Focus podcast with me, your host, John Graham. Thank you so much for taking the time to download this pod, or if you're viewing on YouTube, please remember to subscribe so you don't miss any of the future content. Been lucky enough to get another load of fantastic guests that will be coming onto the platform very soon. So, yeah, and please leave your comments. We do like to read them, good, bad, or indifferent, and debate them down the line. But for now, two Toms are with me. How are you, boys?
Good, thanks, mate.
Yeah, not bad, thank you, mate.
Good. Right, let's get involved. So we're going to review the game that took place last night away at Huddersfield. And as ever, lots of changes in comparison to recent weeks. So kick off with you, Tom. What were your thoughts?
Support for today's Blues Focus podcast is brought to you by none other than Manscaped. Manscaped specialised in all your below-the-waist grooming needs. They've only just recently landed in the UK, so you could be one of the first men in the country to even try out their products. So get looking at them now. They're definitely big in other countries, and they've finally dropped in the UK. I think many people can say, we've gone years without using the right tools for the job. So it's about time we started using the right tools for the job to avoid accidents. I'm sure we've all had uncomfortable moments in situations like that we'd rather not share. But to avoid those moments, why not invest in specialised precision tools to get the job done correctly? They've recently launched the Lawnmower 3.0, which I actually have here with me right now to show you. There you go. There it is in action. Got a little torch. I think that the torch is an interesting feature. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that on an electrical trimmer before. So no, it's definitely different. And you get a docking station with it and stuff, and plenty of little fittings you can have on the top of the trimmer. It's charged lasts up to like 90 minutes. So if you're a bit bored in a Blues game, then go shave your lower regions for the full 90 minutes. I mean, we are that bad, so it wouldn't surprise me if somebody did. It's waterproof, so if you wanted to take it in the shower, that's not a problem. It's not going to blow up on you or fail or anything, so you're covered there. They've also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with a quiet stroke technology. Like I mentioned earlier, smooth, quiet, makes things a lot easier. It's not just for below the waist grooming, really. It can be for body grooming in general. But I feel like that as a whole definitely sells itself as a unique trimmer. So I'd highly recommend it, having tried it myself. So it's definitely worth a go anyway. And if you buy one of their packages, you get plenty of other little gifts such as this wash bag, some toner and some deodorant and whatnot, and the docking station, obviously. I mean, they even do t-shirts in boxes and stuff like that if you're really interested in the fashion side of things. To be fair, their clothes are quite comfy, having also tried them myself. But no, having seen all that, if you are interested, then to get 20% off plus free shipping, use the code BluesFocus20 at manscaped.com. And there you are, sorted. You can have a nice little trim wherever that may be, but obviously it is specialised in certain areas. But whatever suits you, give it a go. So just to recap there, that's 20% off plus free shipping using the code BluesFocus20. So let's get into the podcast. I think first half was quite dull, really, wasn't it? To be honest, I think we looked the better of the two sides in the first half, but I'm kind of clutching at straws there. Do you know what? There was one particular chance. Ivan Sanchez, he's just dribbled through the defence, and instead of crossing it to the far post to Juki, who was there waiting, to be fair, and it just looked perfect. He took it by himself and fired it over. So I was a bit pissed off at that, to be honest with you. But other than that, I can't think of any other half decent chances we had, or even they had, to be honest. I know they had quite a few corners in the first half, but we dealt with them completely fine. They didn't cause us any problems whatsoever. So no, I thought first half we were definitely very comfortable. Then second half was just more committed from both sides, really, wasn't it? But it was still evenly matched,
Yeah.
and they got their slice of luck through a Harley Dean blunder. But to be fair, it wasn't much he could have done about it unless he just had a better first touch. And you could see as soon as it dropped to Campbell, you knew where that ball was going. You knew it was going to end up in the back of the net. Nothing Etheridge could do about that. It was absolute. I don't even know. It's thunder bastard. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Well, I think if we, Tom G, if we did just on the, whilst the, we'll maybe a bit more in depth in the first half in a sec.
Yeah.
Just on the changes, what were your thoughts on the changes?
I think, we spoke about it the other day, didn't we? And I think, I was surprised really. To start, I think it was after we did the last podcast. We all said about Halilovic coming into it. And either way, I think if he hadn't started, I would have understood that. Again, he started yesterday. I thought he was really good. When he did get the ball, I've said it. To a lot of people, just someone to get on the ball and look up and have look like they've got a bit of time on the ball. I was a bit surprised with Jake Clark sort of being dropped. I know, obviously, he might have played a few games.
Yeah.
He might have a little niggling injury we don't know about. Just 3 successive 90-minute games could have took its toll. Obviously, Wednesday, Saturday every week. So maybe it was that. But I think on the whole, apart from taking Gardner and putting Halilovic in, it was pretty much like for like anyway. And I thought it was very, very, very similar to what we've seen in the past few games. Very similar to the Sheffield Wednesday game. But I think if there's one thing I think I agree with Tom to an extent. I think we were probably the better team, but I don't know whether you could even like you said. I don't even know whether we could say there's a better team out of a game like that, which is probably what you'd expect with 2 teams down the bottom anyway. But
Yeah.
I just think it's so fucking poor to watch sometimes. I mean, I sat here yesterday and I was sort of thinking to myself, I don't know, I feel more sorry for my dad or, being through it longer than me, or my missus who has to sit through it and listen to it all every week, because it is just so dull. And I think, just to hit the nail on the head, what I'm trying to say is, we ride at the games we have won and, looking back now, and I think, we have rode our luck playing very defensively. And I think this is the problem with us. I think the players are just knocked with confidence. I don't think they know, what. I think that they know how to defend as a unit, and I think that's about it, really. I think, I don't know what they work on in training going forward sometimes watching that, because it actually feels like you're watching the same game over and over again sometimes.
Yeah, I think when we were talking to Martin O'Connor, I think it was, and he was saying Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, fantastic. Want to play every game. And I do think that most players have got that mentality, to be honest. Certainly, once you're in that first team, you don't want to relinquish your shirt. I did say in the pod last time around, the reaction of Clark Salter and Hogan when they got the hook in the last game. The reaction, there's disappointment, and then there's, I suppose, anger. Yeah. And I think it was probably more the latter than the former. So that was a worry of mine. I said in the last pod, I probably wouldn't have changed it. I do stand by that. And when the team was sort of announced, I was worried. Because, we, don't get me wrong, we've been saying, have we turned a corner, yes or no? I don't think we had, but we were getting there. And for me, it was such a massive game. I'd have been asking those lads to give me one last push, because 3 points against Huddersfield, if we lose to Barnsley, it's not great, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest. So if you're going to put in a shit performance, put in against Barnsley, because probably the expectation is, given the run they've been on, probably not going to get a lot out of the game. But against these lot, then I would have asked for one more push, to be honest. And I don't know. And let's look at the players that have come out. Clark Salter has been in and out all season, so he's not knackered. He's not. he hasn't played the same amount of games as Dean and Sunjic. So he's not sort of, he shouldn't be blowing, that's for certain. So Clark Salter, Gardner's the same.
Yeah.
He's only really come back into the team recent weeks. And Hogan was in and out at the start of the season. So I get squad rotation, 100%. I think the players, if you're going to rotate it, are probably more Sanchez, Bella, Dean, Colin, because they've played, and Sunjic, they've played virtually every minute of every game pretty much. So rotation, 100% understand. You can't expect maybe players to do it all the time. But then you chuck that out the window when you're rotating players that haven't played that much. So I was worried about it. I thought Gardner's been the engine room. He's been so dynamic. He gets us on the front foot by playing Sunjic, Harper, and Halalovic. Halalovic is always going to be pretty much focused going forward, and that leaves Sunjic with a ton of responsibility. And I just don't feel he's good enough. And I've said it for weeks. I stand by it. So that first half, and I was gushing about Harper just over a week ago. He was absolutely awful for the first 20 minutes.
He lost the ball a lot.
Jesus Christ. And it wasn't even, passes under pressure. It was just, 10-yard sort of square passes to build the play, smashing them out for throw-ins. We know they're throwing specialists, and you're like, what's happening? I think he suffered for Gordon not being in the team, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, and very, very quickly, up until when I think Stearman got emptied by Dean, I mean, it was just chaos. First 6 minutes, it was just absolute mayhem. Both sides equally as bad as each other. And then after that, we dropped into the Coventry, Wickham shit that we've seen for weeks and weeks and weeks. And the previous 3 games were a million miles away from where we've been. And, again, his choice of selection, for me, is massively under fire. But and Tom G, I think you made a really, really good point. There's no pattern going forward. It's who's open.
Yeah.
Who can I give the ball to? Who can I give the responsibility to?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of players on that pitch that didn't want the responsibility last night. The one player that did, and it baffles me. If I'm a footballer and I've got somebody like Halalovic that wants the ball, just give him the fucking ball. Give him the ball. Because he's the only one who will be dynamic and positive. He'll lose possession. It'll break down. But those on the half-hour mark, just took the piss. Absolutely took the piss. And it was just that shining light in a team of turgid, just nothingness. And I just, it was a first half to forget for me. Go on, Tom, sorry.
In fairness, to counter that, I know a lot of people have plenty of good things to say about Halilovic, but in all honesty, it actually pissed me off yesterday. Watching him on the basis that you could tell he was a bit nervous because it was his first start in a while. He wasn't quite what we've seen him be, but he wasn't bad. However, I thought Huddersfield dealt with him perfectly. They dealt
with him perfectly because he didn't pass him the fucking ball.
They stood off him, gave him all the space in the world because they know he's not going to bomb off forward, and that's what pissed me off. He had so much space during that game to just dart forward and run into some more space. He didn't. He was always looking to pass out wide, and that's just down to tactics. But as soon as Gardner came on, the second he came on, he was taking advantage of that huge space centrally and making those forward runs that we should have been making all game.
That's his problem right there, mate. And it's just looking then, because I was thinking then, I wonder when the substitutions was. They was all in the 84th plus minute, and I think you could tell from that game yesterday, from what the minute that game kicked off to the minute that game finished, that was, he wanted that point, and that was what he was happy for. And I suppose on the other hand, you could look at that and say, at the end of the season, you might look back at this game and think that point kept us up, but you can't go through you can't go through life being like that in any, not just.
I was going to say, it doesn't make it acceptable, does it?
Nah, it doesn't. You can't just keep being negative. And I've seen a really nasty post about him yesterday, Karanka, and I don't want to make it out that I hate the bloke or anything like that, because I don't. But
Did
I just
you
don't
write
think
it?
What's that, mate?
Did you write
yeah.
it?
I was on a
I
fake account. But no, it's like, you know, I just think he's not for us, is he? I mean, to be honest, I don't know whether what the board are looking at doing. You know, I can't see him. I've heard nothing about it, so I don't think they're going to get rid of him. But
he won't go now.
Can't get rid of him now.
And this is the problem. I just think, you know, we might stay up, but I don't know, mate. I just think if that's how he's going to go into next season and you know, carry it into the rest of the games, then you know, there's no point, is there really?
Do you know what's really fucked me off as well? Talking about fans, right? I go on Twitter at the moment, and everyone's there like, "Oh, he's got seven points out of an available like 12," and I'm just like, "Yeah, look at the teams we played. Oh, bravo. We're not going to beat Norwich, are we? Come on, lads. Yeah, that's expected. We're going to lose that. You look at the teams we've actually picked up wins against. Yes, QPR are in half decent form, but their squad on paper is dog poo except Charlie Austin. And you know, you look at Sheffield Wednesday, terrible season. They're in that position for a reason. And Huddersfield, diabolical. Like, you know, if we'd had a plan B yesterday, we might have actually won that game.
But I don't think we're that far. I don't, you know, I think we're 100% in that category of what, you know, them other teams, really. I think that's what we are at the minute. You know, I don't.
Exactly.
That team yesterday, there's effectively for me there's two teams. So you've got the team yesterday that are the, you know, Huddersfield, Coventry, Wickham, all the shit that we've seen. And then you have teams that are capable against Norwich, because nobody can tell me we won the better side for an hour.
Yeah, we were until he made the subs.
Yeah, so okay, but that's what I'm saying. That side for an hour, yeah. The other two games pretty solid, not brilliant football, but okay. The two victories, you know, we did go. You know, we've beaten, you know, Reading, we've beaten Bristol City. So there's been areas where it's there. The biggest problem he's got, and Tom G, I think you're right. It's like he's got to go back to something that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because he can't believe that what he doesn't believe in is actually fucking working.
Yeah.
It's like his head's gone.
He's
like,
a very persistent manager.
Yeah, but persistent at not actually seeing what's absolutely squarely in front of him. But I would say yesterday, you can't legislate for Harper because he was awful. So that's not a manager.
I think he suffers on big pitches, you know. I think he plays better on the smaller pitches, personally. I know we can say that about a whole squad, but watching him yesterday, the amount of space he was actually given, he just didn't quite know what to do with himself, and his positioning was a little bit off. But you watch him play at St Andrews, he enjoys those tight pockets. He likes being pressured. He can get out of those situations with his good ball control, and he can pick out a nifty little pass. But I think the whole kind of long ball-esque football we were playing yesterday, it didn't.
But again, mate. I mean, I've seen it for years and years and years at Blues. You put a big man up top, they just smash it. And as soon as Djukovic started, it's just a mistake. For me, done, over, enough of it. Great servant to the club, like Clayton Donaldson was, like other centre forwards we've had that are big lads. It's over. Because if he's the answer, I don't know what the fucking question is. It's done. It's done. If you're going to play somebody in that role, put the lad we've signed from Scotland, when he's fit, put him in. Because Djukovic, he don't look like scoring. And, in fairness, yesterday, it's probably one of the first times where he wasn't a lot of refs penalise him for his strength, and he didn't have that yesterday. Yeah. He hardly conceded a foul yesterday, really, apart from that. He fucking blatant.
He did have a sitter though and fell on his arse.
Yeah, so I think we don't. Again, Djukovic in any way, shape, or form doesn't deserve to be dug out by me or anybody else. No. But there comes a point where you've got to say it ain't working, and if it ain't working, forget it and move on, because the club is bigger than that individual. So disappointed he started. I thought he is what he is. Some nice hold-up play, some nice layoffs, but when he's got his back to goal, acres behind him, and he's laying off, there's nobody running off him because he's a target man. So, it's pointless. So for me, first half, I said to you guys, I thought first half, Harley Dean was very, very good, very combative. yeah, I thought he was decent. My biggest problem with Roberts and Dean at the back, and I know everyone's been gushing about Roberts, and
I can't get my head around that
I've
one.
never seen anybody panic so much on the ball. Never.
Yeah.
Next game you watch,
Yeah.
if he's playing with Dean, and they're in that sort of halfway in our half, and they're trying to knock it round the back.
I think it was just the no nonsense defending from you yesterday, and obviously scoring the goal that kind of
100%, mate. But
yeah.
every single game, he shits himself on
He
the ball.
does shit himself.
He's got a big. I think he's got a big confidence problem. He has, because, you know, like
he always has.
I seen him on the interview last night. I don't know if you guys seen it on the Blues, and he just, you know, you can just tell someone don't want to be in that environment. And I thought, you know, there's sometimes, as you say, where he plays absolutely quality, and then I know when you're on about yesterday, John, where he was sort of passed it back to Everidge passed it back to him.
Neither of them won it.
And it was like a fucking hot potato. Like, you know,
he reminds me of Stephen Gleeson. Stephen Gleeson used to hate having the ball.
It's like
but that's what I mean with the confidence thing. It's like, you know, they're not getting that. I don't know. I know he wasn't brilliant under other managers.
I don't think it's confidence. I think it's capability.
Yeah.
Because what Roberts will do, ball at feet, is like, shit, can I get it back to the keeper? Or can I shove it into Colin? That's it.
Sunday League, isn't it?
Or I'm going to smash it as hard as I can. That's it. That's what he's got. And that's fine. That's fine. Because let's not take away from the positives, to your point, Tom. The positives were very, very good yesterday. But when you've got a player like that has got an absolute rick in his locker out of nowhere, and you know it, then that's why I think that the likes of Jay Clark-Salter alongside him, for me, even though I said Dean was good first half, because he was, but we'll go on to the second half in a minute. Give him the ball. Let him do that. All you need to do, Roberts, head it and kick it. Don't do anything else, because you can't do anything else. And that's fine. You're a pro footballer, a lot better than I've ever been. But don't try and be something you're not. And Etheridge, don't give him the frigging ball.
Yeah.
And Etheridge, he all of a sudden looks like he's a shit himself merchant. And so we've gone from, I think, a platform of 3 games where it was all going in the right direction, and bang, we're back to square one against, they are Bobby average. I mean, fucking hell. They are so bad. I mean, again,
bad.
At the back, they're as bad as us. As bad as us. None of them wanted it.
The amount of times they came forward and left themselves exposed at the back was beyond me. Hogan needed to come on a lot earlier than he did.
Hogan should start every single game from now to the end of the season. Don't give a shit what anybody says, because he's the only one in that team that's a natural goal scorer. End of story.
I think Cosgrove can be. I don't think we've.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, it's massively unfair to chuck somebody into that environment from where he's been, and do the 60-minute sub and chuck him in for half an hour. Let him find his feet.
He turned into Scott Messi briefly as well when he came on.
Yeah, I mean, so first half, abject 0-0. You know, Groundhog Day. Second half, Tom G, what did you think?
Very similar, mate, to be honest, really, in my opinion. I mean, there's a lot of things, you know, I think we could have done if we wanted to win the game, you know, as I said, just, you know, making substitutions, you know, around a normal time of 60, 70 minutes, not to wait that long again. But I just feel like, you know, I don't know what he said to him at half time, and I think we probably was the better team in the second half. And again, it's, you know, it's not the players' sort of, you know, work ethic or anything like that, but I just think, you know, they lack direction in the second half. I thought, you know, I said it in the previous pod, you know, we don't create enough clinical chances. There's not enough players running off the ball, as you said. And again, you know, I've said it before, I was a massive fan of Sunjic, but I just, you know, he's good for that one finger pressing someone, but, you know, what else can he do? And
you see that shot again yesterday?
Yeah, mate, I know.
Oh my
He's
God.
nearly put it over the stand.
He had time.
I thought he was going to try and just sort of, you know, dink it back in and cross it, but then I just, you know, he leaves his foot, and then that was it. Then I think I looked away. But that's just the problem, though, isn't it? I mean, I understand, you know, play like that, you know, if you need to, and I suppose in a way we probably do need to, given the position we're in. But as you said, you know, Jusay was absolutely terrible as well. And I just think, you know, we have got people on that bench, you know, the likes of Lecco, McGree, Hogan being one who should have come on a lot earlier than 82 minutes or whatever it was. You know, who can just change the game and give it that little bit of a spark. But as we've already said, he obviously just sits there and thinks, you know, if we can get this point, that's job done for him.
Yeah.
But for me anyway, mate, I'm not saying I ain't going to stop watching Blues or anything, but I do see it sometimes watching it, mate, and
Yeah.
I think, fucking hell, like, you know what I mean? It's so bad sometimes. And I mean, sorry, just yesterday as well, I wanted to say it was similar to the Sheffield Wednesday game in the sense of, it's one of them championship games where it's like that, like you said, that many injuries and people going down, and there was nothing going on from both teams. And as I said, I don't think we're any better a team than what Huddersfield are, to be honest with you.
No, and when you've got for them, someone like Campbell that's going to, sort of pop up, then that's a massive asset. But like Austin as well, and Pookie and those players,
natural goal scorers.
Yeah, anyone, and I'd put this out there to everybody. The next time we play a team who have got a natural goal scorer, just lump on. They always score every single time,
even if they're on a drought.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, just on the second half, what were your observations?
Oh, do you know what? I thought we improved, definitely improved, but then they kept whipping in those long kind of cross-field balls into the box just to try and cause problems. There was no real kind of finesse or anything to it as such, but it was just to genuinely cause our defence problems. And in the end, it paid off. Dean has made a little bit of a blunder, but it's not too much he could have done, and it's a fantastic finish. But as an improvement's sake, one of the positives to be taken from the game was the reaction from Blues. I thought, in fairness, when we kicked off, we actually looked really shaky, and I thought, oh shit, here we go. It's going to finish 3-0. But then, in fairness, we steadied ourselves again, and then actually went to them really, and we got the deserved equaliser because we certainly didn't deserve to lose that game.
Sorry, Tom, don't you think that's the problem with us at the minute? That's the only time you look like we're going to score a goal is off a set piece.
Yeah,
and that's the point. Sorry, go on, mate.
It's all right. No, it's the same last season, mate. We scored the second most set pieces in the league last season, and I'm pretty sure it was
90% of our goals.
Yeah, it was 15. We scored 15 set pieces last season. Make of that what you will. That is literally half of our goal tally. But you look back to earlier on this season, we couldn't score from open play for 10 matches. So it's been a regular problem. So it just doesn't surprise me, but that just shows kind of the lack of venom and finishing ability we have up top a lot of the time. But no, overall, second half, I thought the ref was shocking ref. I could have lost my temper a few times at that referee because he was giving every little nibble on Huddersfield. It was really slowing down the game towards the end, unfortunately. And I tell you what, the Sky commentator was no better either. He was bloody waxing lyrical about how much he loves Huddersfield.
Honestly, the best thing about Sky Sports yesterday was the halftime music.
Exactly.
I was having a brave at halftime.
Honestly, I wanted to turn it off at times because I couldn't listen to that commentator. How he's in a job is beyond me. It was genuinely just pissing me off, and I hate bias things like that. Like you're there to do your job properly, but that's not talking about the game. That's another aside thing. But still, no, I thought the performance could have been worse. Really, I think we've seen worse this season. Like Coventry or Wickham, but at least we responded. Which made a change to a lot of the games we've had this season. So clearly, there's improvement. And actually, one of the biggest positivities for me yesterday, I think a lot of people criticise Ivan Sanchez for his physicality. Every time he was challenged yesterday, he actually came off winning the ball because he made himself strong. And I hadn't seen Sanchez quite that strong all season. But, you look at the, his heat map, that was the deepest he's played all season yesterday. So, no, it's definitely the most defensive he's been. But we've been talking for ages how Sanchez doesn't support Maxime Collin enough. Yesterday was a massive improvement. So if you can keep that up, then great. But then doing that takes away more of our attacking threat that we don't fucking have anyway. So that's my thoughts on the second half, to be honest.
Just on Sanchez, the one thing that I agree. I mean, he put himself about, but he's what, 5 foot nothing and about 5 stone wet through. So he's going to get rolled over. There's no two ways about it. But if he's got his back to goal, so if he's facing his own goal, unless he's going to pass it backwards to Colin, he hasn't got an out ball at the line because he's left-footed. So every single time he's going to try and sort of do something on the ball.
Himself, yeah.
He's getting into trouble. He's getting into trouble. So, and it is every single time. I thought second half. I don't think that I think that Pedersen and Bella were predictable. I just it didn't really. I mean, Pedersen had a good game. I thought Bella.
I thought so did Bella. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay for me. No better than okay.
Yeah.
And again, when you have got Lecco or and on a pitch of that size, I mean, the last time we played on a pitch that size was Man City, and he was the best player in the park. And it's like, fucking use your head. Use your head. If there's acres of space, use the guy that's really quick. Just do that. So, yeah, lots of things. I mean, Dean, I'm not. I mean, I feel for the guy. He could and should have done better, but it is what it is. It was a brilliant finish. He did have a very good first half, so I'm not going to sort of go to town on him for that. But he should have done better. It was a mistake. As much as you want to dress it up, it was a mistake. Brilliant reaction. Again, another highlight for me. Halilovic no-look lob that the keeper pulled over the bar.
Yeah.
It didn't really look intentional, though, in fairness.
Mate,
it just looked like a blunder.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think he was going for it.
That kid,
just seen him
I'm telling you, that kid's got more talent in his left peg than our entire team.
That was not, and I don't care. That was not an intentional chip. That was just a shit pass.
Well, fucking have another look. Have another look and tell me, because I'm telling you, he meant that.
He did not mean that. No.
So, to be fair, Tom, I thought he meant.
I'll tell you what, Tom. We'll bin him off and get him back in and get another muppet in the side.
Right, no, why would you do that from that position? It's just.
I just think he saw the keeper.
5 yards to the right, it's in. That's why.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
And I don't think he thought in his mind, he thought the keeper's not going to expect me doing this, and that's why he did it. And I think, luckily, the keeper, obviously for them, he reacted to it, did
What, you thought a lot of it was shit?
Not the whole game, but that moment there, yes.
But yeah, I think that we deserve the equaliser. Both sides poor, and it just goes back to, I think, the manager's sort of, where he says, we were probably the better team, we deserve to win, all the usual shit. We didn't really create a lot. So I suppose for me, there's a worry now that he'll look at that and say, Harper, poor game, bomb him out. I wouldn't do that, because I don't think just by one bad performance he should go. I think he's been a good player for us.
You can see Adam Clayton strolling in now to training, like doing a Conor McGregor walk because he knows he's in the team next match.
Well, for me, and I don't know who we were playing a while back. It was probably City, to be honest. And it's probably a good sort of link to the Barnsley game coming up. We need to play. We need footballers on the pitch, because if we sit back to Barnsley for 90 minutes, not going to work. Not going to work in any way, shape. They've been dicking sides 2 and 3 every week for the last 2 months that are a lot better than us. So, Tom, what are your thoughts on Barnsley, and what sort of team would you put out? I mean, we'll go back to it's a shame we're going back to this. What team would you put out, and what team do you think he's going to put out? 2
players that have to play that game for me are Scott Hogan and Gary Gardner. That's Gary Gardner in particular, because he's just been fantastic recently. His work rate really drives us forward, and I think we missed that yesterday, to be honest, because I thought he was great when he came on the pitch. Scott Hogan, I think, he's the most informed striker we've got, really, and he's the only one that's bagging, and he did score there last season. So I think there's not much argument you could make for picking Juki over him, to be honest. if Cosgrove was fit, I'd be inclined to give him a game just to see how he goes. Because I don't expect us to win this game at all. So if there's any game that we're going to experiment with a player like Cosgrove, I'd be happy for it to be that one. But then again, you don't want players to be in a baptism of fire as such, really, do you? So it's tough. But
Mm.
no, I don't expect us to win the game. I do think if we sit back there, Barnsley's quality will shine through. They're happy to go at teams. That's the way they like to play. So I think if we go at them instead and make a game of it, even if we defend it, even if we defend the way Huddersfield did yesterday, because I thought Huddersfield's two-man pressure was fantastic. Every single time they were just kind of, when we get in their half, two men pressure the man, and we turn backwards a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Unless it was a counter attack, then it'd be a different story. So no, even if we just applied a bit more pressure, but do I think we're fit enough to do that compared to some of the other sides? Probably not. So I don't know. It's tough. I don't expect us to win, but I'd like us to see a more a more consistent side, a side of players that have actually performed well this season. So, your Scott Hogans, your Gary Gardners. Ivan Sunjic had an okay game yesterday, in fairness to him, but I don't want any bit part players in there that aren't
But this is where we're at now. And a
exactly.
couple of people said it on Twitter yesterday. We've got to the point where that performance against Huddersfield at a point, we're sort of okay with it.
Yeah.
And to the point of Sunjic, I'm just gonna say it, £8 million, okay? £8 million for a guy that runs around like a chicken and kicks shit out of people, can't pass the ball for toffee. He's shooting, honestly, and my knee shattered to pieces. I'd take him on from 20 yards. Take him on, he's fucking woeful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if part of the MO for the team is, right, we definitely need somebody that just runs around like a nutcase, covers about 30 kilometres a game, got absolutely no idea with the ball at his feet, kicks shit out of people, gets a yellow card.
Unfortunately, we sold him to Millwall, so
Well, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it just Sunjic wouldn't get in fucking Barnsley's under 23 side because he ain't a footballer. He ain't. And if anybody can show me any clips from this season where that bloke has got any intelligence on the ball, I'd love to see it.
I think this season he's been shocking.
To be honest, John, I'll be honest with you. I know I've said it before. In that first game I watched him, I honestly thought, I remember sitting next to my dad and I was like, he's going to be a player.
Last season he was class.
Like his first game under Pep, I think it was against Stoke, I think, at home last season. And I just thought, fucking hell, like we have got a player here. Someone who's just literally just going to sit in front of the back four, a bit like, I suppose what Harper does. I'm not saying he's nowhere near as, talented with the ball, but I don't know. I just feel like, in that year we've had him. I agree with you now. I don't know. It's like a completely different player.
Then he had his Birmingham City mentality jab, like the rest of them do when they sign.
Oh yeah, and then he got his
compulsory jab.
I
suppose
the only positive we can take from him at the minute is you probably got Alan Alilovic to come over, didn't he? Being Croatian, so
yeah.
We'll make him even worse.
Well, so Tom G, who would you put in then for the Barnsley game?
I think I could tell you what I want to do, but I just know it ain't going to happen. I think they've won the last 5 games on the bounce. I got a feeling we're going to be surprised, a bit like we are sort of in, was in the Bournemouth game, the Norwich game, maybe not with the result, but I think the way he's going to be looking at that game against Barnsley will be similar to the way we started against Bournemouth. So, maybe get a lot of set pieces, I suppose, a few corners out of it, and maybe go 1-0 up or something. That's all I can see. And I know I said to you before we come on, I watched them against Chelsea, and I thought that was unbelievable. To be honest, I couldn't even believe that was the team. Like Tom said, we went there and beat them 1-0 last year. So I think it's going to be a tough game. I can't see us. I can't see us winning it. I think they're going to score probably 2 or 3 goals. I don't think we've got 2 or 3 goals in us. But I suppose in a way, I don't want him to, like you said, we can't just sit back against a team like these because they will eventually score against us. But I just don't feel like he's going to go any other way in that game. So, I think the best we can hope for is probably a sort of Sheffield Wednesday. They get someone sent off game, or
Yeah. Again, I mean, as I said earlier, my worry is that Harper gets bombed out, because I think that would be the wrong call. I think there potentially is an argument to give him another go. Maybe put Lecco in on one of the, whether it be for Sanchez or Bella, just purely from a freshen it up, rotation point of view, because you can't keep going back to the well. Both those guys have been playing every single minute of every single game. Have they been players that are undroppable? No, definitely not off the performances. Like, they weren't bad, but they weren't world beaters. Rob, if Dean again, he's got to be in line to take a blow, because he's been playing all season. I desperately want to see Clark Salter back in. We're a much better side with him in there. I think the fullbacks are fine. Gardner's got to come back in. Come back in. And then, as I said, I wouldn't bomb Harper out. I know, I mean, I'm probably a bit harsh about Sunjic, but I'm just getting to the end of my tether with it.
He's got to be the one, Annie, that comes out for Gardner, I think, really.
Yeah, and it's whether he sticks with Hilalovic. I again, just from you look at the side, and you've got obviously the back four that are predominantly, they're there to do a job. If he's going to have two in front of them, then I think Harper and Gardner give you a really good blend of, they're defensive, but they can get forward. As Tom said earlier, Gardner's been great all season at making those bombing runs straight through the middle. And I think against Barnsley, you do need to take a bit of a chance with maybe somebody that can retain possession rather than just a clogger that's going to try and kick people. And for me, from now to the end of the season, for consistency, Hilalovic for me plays and Hogan plays, because you've got to have a way of winning games, and they're the two players that can unlock. They might be completely anonymous for 75 minutes. I mean, look at the guy that scored last night for them, Campbell, did fuck all, did nothing apart from score a goal. Thanks for coming. Austin, exactly the same. Thanks for coming. Pookie didn't have a great game. Slotty too. Happy days. And that's the point. You've got to play to the strengths of people and take a bit of a punt, and that's where this manager falls woefully short. He'd rather have Djukovic running the back line, winning a few headers and holding it up, because it, from a defensive point of view, looks great, than have Hogan that might latch onto a ball out the blue and score. Whereas my mentality is, I'd rather have somebody that can do something than somebody that I know can't, and he's proven that he can't. So, a massive mistake for me the way he changed it last night. I said earlier I'd have changed it for the Barnsley game, because you've got to play the percentages at the moment. 3 points against Huddersfield, it's a completely different ball game, massively. And you could take a lot of sort of a, it makes complete logical sense. Go defensive against Barnsley. That would make complete sense. Go defensive against Huddersfield, who've been abject, awful, one out of 5. What's the sense in that? Certainly after the first, Tom G made the point about substitutions. After the first half, anybody with eyes could see Huddersfield bang down on confidence, there for the taking. Let's get on the front foot. Let's take it to them. Let's make some positive substitutions second half. But it just isn't his mentality. And they ain't going to get rid of him now, short of, but having said that, March, we've got some tough games, and we could quite easily go on a run of 4 losses, 5 losses. But yeah,
I think we will.
Well, who knows? I mean,
a couple of draws.
You both made the point. Look what we did. Norwich, but lost. Maybe there's a 90-minute performance where we can turn somebody over that's half decent. And that would give us the biggest boost that you could ever imagine. But again, it's just that we all know that there's a mistake somewhere.
I would have said Bristol, but now they got Pearson. I don't think we would turn them over.
No. And I mean, you look at Bristol, you look at Cardiff now. Though the way the managers have had an impact since they've gone in, have we missed the boat? Definitely. Would I have liked to Mick McCarthy? Of course.
I think he'd have got us out of this wrong.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. But again, it's a point. Let's try and finish the pod on a positive. It's a point.
Yeah.
The sides around us, I said before we got on, are absolutely shocking. I mean, the standard
It's
of
terrible.
Wednesday,
Yeah.
Huddersfield, Coventry, Derby have fallen off the face of the earth. Rotherham is shit. We're shit. So
I
it's
was watching Warsaw last week. I don't know who was playing, and I'm telling you now, it's not
has it
far
come
off.
to that?
It's not far off, mate. I'm telling you. I don't think it's that far off, honestly.
Yeah.
They're without a manager.
I know.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one this Saturday for lots and lots of reasons, down to team selection. And one thing that Roberts talked about after the game, and Karanka's been sort of waxing lyrical, is about the team spirit. And Tom has made a comment many times about no team spirit, and now they're saying it's there. Barnsley could quite easily knock the shit out of that on Saturday.
And I think there's a team spirit, but it's certainly nowhere near the level of some of the other sides in this league.
No, but again, we've won. Well, we've got 4 points out of losing positions in the last 2 games, which is a turnaround, because normally it's we're losing points from winning positions. So there's definitely something there.
Yeah.
It's just can we carry that into some sort of performance on Saturday? So we are sort of back to the Karanka bingo at 2 o'clock.
I think, as you've just said, as long as we can, and I think that's definitely something, in the last few games, like we were saying before, the performances of players, that's there now. Whereas I think the games against, when we lost against Wickham, lost them games at home, 0-0 draw against Coventry, that wasn't there from the players in them games. And I think, like you say, you can accept that, can't you? And it is an improvement, but like you say, it's whether we can start to maybe look at working on going forward a little bit more, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, like definitely. You say, I don't think he's going to do that though. Now is he? From now till the end of the season, I think it's going to be get as many beers as you can in the fridge and get ready for the long haul.
Yeah,
definitely. And I think on that sobering note, we'll wrap it up. So, boys, predictions. Indeed. I don't know. I mean, how many beers? About 17.
Okay, yeah, I'll get it off quickly then. I'm going to need about 9 or 10 beers. And then I'd probably say 3-1 Barnsley. But I do think, if Aitor Karanka turns into Mike Bassett, then I genuinely think we could get something from this game. He just needs to come out and say in his press conference, Birmingham will play 4-4-2. And that's it.
With Benson and Edges playing.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's Dean and Roberts, mate.
Yeah. Tom G, thoughts?
Yeah. I'm going to go with... I'll go with 3-1 Barnsley.
Yeah, so two lots of 3-1.
Yeah.
The big factor is going to be the 3 picks in midfield.
Yeah.
I think that's where we've either got a chance or we haven't. I do think he'll bomb Harper out. I think he's going to bomb Halilovic out. I do. Who do you think he's going to cut?
Who do you think he'll sort of bring in for them too? Do you reckon?
I think you're going to have a Gardner in there.
San Jose.
I forgot about him.
I genuinely think it could happen. The other one, which I wouldn't mind, is if McGree comes in.
I think McGree not being in this squad is a crime against humanity. But
I don't know what he's done. I mean,
I don't get it, because he has been on the bench, hasn't he, for every game?
He never looks like coming on. No, my 3 would be Harper, Gardner, Halilovic. That would be my 3. I think that gives us a good chance. I don't think that will happen. And on that basis, I think we'll lose 2-0. I think we'll just try and shut up shop from the early doors, and they'll break through eventually, and that's it. I think if he actually plays a relatively positive side, we're in with a squeak, because we've proven we can do it. We haven't proven we can play any sort of football with a Clayton, Gardner, and Sunjic. Hasn't happened, so it's not going to happen. It's the side that we've shown that we can actually do something. So we'll see. So it's on the positive side. Yeah, Tom, like you said, 7 points out of 12. We probably wouldn't have predicted that. So happy days. And it's a bit of a free roll against Barnsley, but let's just hope the damage isn't sort of 3, 4, and 5, because that puts us right back to where we were. We've also got to think about goal difference as well.
Yeah.
We don't want to be getting
close.
Yeah. Right. So, boys, thank you very much for that. Enjoyed it as ever.
No worries, yeah.
Looking forward to seeing where we can get to with Barnsley, and if crikey, just imagine a victory. I will eat my hat, that is for sure. I hopefully am, and I'll bring one and start tucking in for the next one. But between now and then, stay safe all and keep right on.